Hello, let's talk about Plotinus and Reincarnation. Plotinus and Reincarnation, there he is. And I'm Eric Steinhardt. You can learn more about me at ericsteinhardt.com. So, Plotinus and Reincarnation, let's start with a little historical background. The Pythagoreans affirmed reincarnation. Socrates and Plato affirm reincarnation lots of places, for instance, in the Meno, in the Phaedrus, in the Republic, in the Timaeus, in the Laws, and probably other places that I don't know about. So, it's a common notion in ancient Greek and Roman cultures. What does Plotinus say? He says, nature is well organized. When one animal eats another, the death is useful for the total purpose of life. What does it matter when they are devoured only to return in some new form? So animals are reincarnated. He says it comes to no more than the murder of one of the characters in a play. The actor alters his makeup and enters a new role. The actor was not really killed, but if dying is but changing a body as the actor changes a costume, or even an exit from the body like the exit of the actor from the stage when he has no more to say or do, what is there so very dreadful in this transformation of living beings one into another? So souls, right, which occupy bodies just like actors occupy their costumes. And an actor changes a costume just like a soul changes its body. And this happens all the time in the natural cycle of life, a kind of cycle of life, circle of life argument for reincarnation. How does it work? It works just like you'd expect. There's a guy and he's happy. Oh, he's got a soul. Look at that. That's a little ghost inside of him. And now he's dead. Well, when he dies, his soul was in his body and now it leaves his body. And it heads towards this little baby who somehow doesn't yet have a soul. And the soul enters the body of this little baby, and now it's reincarnated. The soul that was incarnated in one body is now incarnated again in another body, right? To be incarnated is to be within the flesh, right? In the meat. And so that's reincarnation. A soul travels from body to body. Plotinus also gives an argument from justice for reincarnation. One, the universe is just. Two, people are not properly rewarded or punished for the things they do. But justice requires proper reward and punishment. So, consequently, they will have future lives in which they will be rewarded and punished. Okay, that's a quick argument from justice that's going to motivate some stuff about karma. But first, we want to talk about some other arguments against reincarnation. Well, the one is just that this soul-body dualism on which it depends is arguably false. There's no evidence for it. It's not affirmed by science. Doctors don't find souls inside your body, and it's never been clear what the soul is. A second problem with these souls, even if we have souls, how do they travel to new bodies? Isn't that motion through space? And isn't that physical? And doesn't that make a soul a physical thing? And shouldn't it be detected by physics and blah, blah, blah? It's just silly. And how do souls select new bodies? I mean, why does my die, when I die, why does my soul go into this body rather than that body? How would we identify souls across bodies, even if soul-body dualism were true? How would I tell that it was my soul that went here and your soul that went there? And again, even if soul-body dualism were true, souls are very closely fitted to bodies. My soul, which, grew up in my body from my birth, seems to be interwoven with my DNA, the structure of my brain. And what's left when it goes into some other body? I mean, the DNA, the genes in that other body are going to be totally different from mine. The brain structure in that body is going to be different from mine. It's going to have different experiences. It's going to have a different way of processing information. How is it even the same soul as mine? And these are serious problems, arguments against reincarnation. But let's talk about reincarnation in non-human bodies, right? And Plotinus talks about that. He says those who have maintained the human level in life will be humans next time around. People who have devoted their lives to sensual pursuits become animals, corresponding in species to the particular temper of life. If they were ferocious people, they become ferocious animals. Gluttonous and lascivious animals who seek sex and food will turn into cows. Rabbits or something. Those who in their pleasures have not even lived by sensation but have gone their way in a torpid grossness Wow, become mere plants, for this lethargy is the entire act of the vegetative, and such people have been busy betraying themselves. People who are otherwise untainted by sin, but who have loved song, will be reincarnated as vocal animals. Maybe twerping birds, tweet tweet. Kings ruling unreasonably, but with no other vice, will be reincarnated as eagles. Futile and flighty dreamers who soar skyward in their imaginations will become high-flying birds. Observance of civic and secular virtue makes a man again, or where the merit is less marked, one of the highly social insects, like a bee. So you can be reincarnated, Plotinus thinks, in all sorts of animal bodies and plant bodies. You might turn into a tree, so better quit slacking off. Well, how could this happen? Well, your soul, when you die, maybe it goes into a chicken instead of going off into another person. Uh-oh, now you're a chicken. So what about reincarnation in non-human bodies? What are some objections or problems with this? How could a human soul inhabit an animal body? It's so different. Different species of bodies are like different species of computers. You can't run Mac apps on PCs or iPhone apps on Android phones. They were written for a particular type of hardware. So how would a soul work on an animal body, right? I mean, I don't have wings, I don't have genetic programming or brain circuitry for wings, so if my soul is somehow fitted to my body, how would I become a chicken? And you can't install the control software for an airplane into a car, right? Same principle, right? The software or the soul structure that manages a human body, it's not going to work on a cow or a chicken or a tree. Let's get back to this karmic thing, this idea about justice. There was the argument for justice. And retributive karma is the kind of karma that Plotinus endorses. It's eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth across lives. You'll be the victim in your next life of the crimes you committed in your last life. If you murder somebody, you'll be murdered in your next life. And again, Plotinus endorses this at various places in the Aeneids. Here's what he says: a man once a ruler will be made a slave because he abused his power, and because the fall is to his future good. He's going to learn his lesson. Those who have money will be made poor, and to the good poverty is no hindrance. Those who have unjustly killed are killed in turn. Unjustly as regards the murderer, but justly as regards the victim, and those that are to suffer are thrown into the path of those that administer the merited treatment. It's not an accident that makes a man a slave. No one is a prisoner by chance. Every bodily outrage has its due cause. The man once did what he now suffers. A man that murders his mother will become a woman and murdered by a son. That's pretty specific eye for eye kind of retribution. A man that wrongs a woman will become a woman to be wronged. Hence arises that awesome word, retribution. For in very truth this ordinance is a retribution, justice itself and a wonderful wisdom. Well, there's problems with retributive karma. The first problem is there's no link between deeds and consequences. If I don't have any memories of my past life, right, we can't remember our good or bad deeds in them, so we don't know why we're being punished or rewarded. No moral lesson is learned, no moral purpose is served. The second problem, you get an endless cycle of violence. And so retributive karma perpetuates evil. Here's a guy, Alan. He's murdered by Bob. Well, Bob did a bad thing, and now Bob's going to get murdered in his next life by Carl. And now Carl's going to get murdered in his next life by David. And David's going to get murdered in his... And it's just going to go on. The cycle of violence is endless. There's further problems with retributive karma. The third problem is blaming the victim, and Plotinus does this. It's not an accident that makes a man a slave. No one is a prisoner by chance. And this leads to horrible moral consequences. It leads to the view that disabled people deserve their disabilities. We should treat them very badly. It leads to the view that African Americans deserve to be enslaved. Slavery was just and good. The European Jews deserved the Holocaust, and Native Americans deserved genocide. These consequences are morally repulsive, and so retributive karma cannot serve justice. A fourth problem is that retributive karma leads to the idea that criminals ought to commit their crimes. The murderer is just when doing what karma orders him to do. He deserves praise and reward for enforcing cosmic justice. But now retributive karma is inconsistent. The murderer does not deserve to be murdered in his next life. He should be rewarded. He did a good thing. And that's inconsistent with Plotinus's claim that, somebody who murders somebody in this life will be murdered in their next life. And also retributive karma portrays evil people as good. If the European Jews deserved the Holocaust, then Hitler was a good guy. If the Native Americans deserved genocide, then killing them was a moral duty. Again, these consequences are just morally repulsive, and retributive karma cannot serve justice. So the Plotinus reincarnation theory is false just on the basis of its failure to have any evidence for it or structure to it, right? The problems with soul-body dualism and things like that. And so the Plotinian theory needs to be naturalized. We've got to turn reincarnation into something else, like rebirth. Retributive karma, which was also part of the Plotinian reincarnation theory, is unjust and it's evil. So the Plotinian theory needs to be moralized. It needs to be made morally harmonious. We've got to turn retributive karma into something like progressive karma. What would that be? We've got a lot of work to do on Plotinus and reincarnation. So this has just been a little intro, and I'm Eric Steinhardt, and you can learn more about me at my website, ericsteinhardt.com. Thank you very much.